Hi, this is Gary Minchell. I'm back home. This is the day after Memorial Day 2014 in the United States. And if you are in the United States, I hope you had a really good and refreshing Memorial Day weekend. I spent it like I've spent the last 28 of these things, at least one day of the weekend, if not more, at a soccer tournament, and then just generally relaxing, trying to get some stuff done. I hope you all had a good weekend. Last week I was on the road, and I'm picking up a series that I started a long time ago of off and on discussions of my travels. And this is a trip to Texas last week, and the trip went to two places. First, I went to the PAS Company Technology Conference in Houston. Then I drove back over to San Antonio and went to the AFPM Trade Show and Conference in the Convention Center at San Antonio. AFPM used to be NPRA, and essentially it's an association for petroleum refining operators, and that was quite interesting too. So I'll start off with PAS. PAS, some of you may not know of. They have a fairly low profile. They have one of those software companies with really fine technology, but don't always get it out and promote it to the general public, at least the general engineering public. They started out with alarm management tools, and any of you working in process industries know that alarm management is a real problem. The floods of alarms have caused many incidents throughout industry, and some serious incidents, quite frankly. And so that's part of the thing, and so they've really worked on alarm management. They've gone into what they call the genome, and they can go in and probe into control systems and suck out all the information and then use it in many other ways for many other departments. So it's not just about operations, it's not just about engineering, it feeds more generally reliability, and maintenance can use the information too. And so, in my take is always more collaborative and coordination amongst the departments. Partly because of my history of working in one area that didn't like the other area, then I got transferred to the other area, and it's like, wait a minute, we're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to improve the company, get the most performance out of our assets that we can, and make the most profit for our company. That's kind of what it's all about. So anyway, PAS has a lot of enabling technologies. They have recently, in the last year or two, started to bill themselves as the human reliability company. So we apply reliability to our equipment and in our plants, but how about reliability to the humans that are working on that equipment? And that's where they're going with a lot of their technologies lately, and so on. The technology conference was quite interesting. A lot of good speakers and sessions involving various aspects actually of reliability. So the highlight for me, well, there were many, but let's talk about dinner on Monday night, where I was able to talk to a director of controls and instrumentation, and in other words, an engineer from BASF, and another engineer from Scottish Power, as in Scotland. And very interesting dinner. We talked a lot about engineering and reliability, and how engineers see their function of enabling operations and maintenance to do their jobs better. And so that was pretty interesting. They talked about some of the technologies they use, but also there's an awful lot of talk all the time about culture change and getting some of the cultures that are kind of hidebound one way or another, and getting them to work together more cooperatively together. And along that line, I've seen several demos over the last year or 18 months on integrated operations centers, where we don't just have an operations center for the operators all by themselves, but we have an operations center where the maintenance manager can be, and maybe several other disciplines within a plant, depending on the type of plant. So they can all work together, and they can all see the screens, and the operations guy can say, hey, I see this problem coming, and swivel around and look at the maintenance guy, say, do you see this, what's going on, can you send somebody? And they can work together instead of being in this building and that building and this building, like some of the early plants I used to call on when I was a sales engineer. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and these engineers are trying to work through all that too, using controls and instrumentation as a foundation of information, so that the appropriate people can take appropriate actions more intelligently, more quickly, more profitably. So PAS, I picked up a lot, mostly from listening to these end user people. real engineers are out there in the field, and they're working and trying to make changes and enable other people, such as operations, maintenance, and reliability, all to do their job better. That was 2 days of PAS, and like I said, it was a pretty good conference. Over 100 people involved, and it's a smaller company. It's not one of the majors, and bringing 125, 130 people or better together was pretty good accomplishment, and a lot of excitement as usual when you get everybody together talking the same language. Then I drove over to San Antonio and I went to the AFPM. Now AFPM is an association, and they have two things. They have actually a pretty sizable trade show, and I don't see a lot of trade shows anymore. This is sort of built around a trade show, although the show floor closes during the conference time, so it's only open lunchtime and reception time in the evening or early evening. And other than that, the show floor is closed. Everybody goes to the conference stations. I sat in a few conference stations. The most exciting one was two reliability engineering managers from BP in Whiting, Indiana, which is a suburb of Chicago, roughly speaking. And they were involved in a project of building a new refinery within the refinery. So some of the existing equipment was refurbished and used, and then some new equipment went in. And they talked about all of the work that they did of planning, and they were reliability people, so most of their planning was like reliability planning. But it's a lot of stuff I get into a lot. It's like the master data. It's like assuring that the master data I get from the EPC is the same thing that the contractor actually put in, that when we start up the thing or when we're planning what we're going to put in and doing our documentation for the maintenance, reliability, and operations people when they take over the plant, that it's all real. It's up to date, it's the real equipment, and so on. And so they did a lot with master data and a lot on testing, and where did they get the information for preventive maintenance schedules, for example, which they did ahead of time. They thought all that out, and they had a chart and everything. And the refreshing thing about the presentation was we did this, then we discovered that we did this like 2 years too late. We should have started way back here instead of starting it when we did. And there was a lot of learnings along the way. A lot of give and take with the audience, half a dozen audience members. There were probably 70 people in the audience or something. It's a pretty good sized room. And a lot of give and take of questions and so on. I learned a lot about a higher level reliability function and the amount of planning and the work and the math that they put into it to think all this stuff through. I learned a long time ago that my background started in discrete manufacturing, and then I went into process, and the process people always thought things through a lot better than the discrete people way back then. And hopefully the discrete people are factory automation, as they say in Europe. Hopefully those people are catching up on this, thinking things through. Very good. The trade show was good for me, as I learned a lot of new companies that I didn't know as I went to the show floor, met a lot of new people, and we'll see what goes on there. I have other trips coming up in the future, and some of them have to do, I'm going to the Honeywell user group. Honeywell, I think it's 2/3 of their business is services, and so this should be really interesting to see what's going on with there. And then I'll be doing some Rockwell software and Siemens Automation Summit. And Siemens always it's a technology company, so I love technology. So we'll be getting a lot of technology going there. But they have recently, I had dinner with the head of a new services unit, and they're really building up a services unit too that rivals or exceeds some of the competitors. So a lot of stuff going on there. So several trips coming up, should be interesting. I'll have more of these reports following up on all of that. And until then, this is Gary Minchell. I'm Executive Director of Maintenance Technology Magazine and a writer on manufacturing and automation and computers and maintenance and reliability and all kinds of stuff. So I hope to see you again on the next video. Thank you very much.